thing, that's pray. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. I pray for my sisters who are in different provinces for me. One on my left arm, BC, and one on my right arm, Saskatoon. They have wonderful times with their kids, and they have a great time at their jobs, and keep them happy during our isolation. Especially my older sister, who's a very chatty social person. Blah 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 blah. No offense to her. That's pray somebody you know or don't know, or a group of people. Who wants to pray? Thank you, David.
My uncle's parents have COVID.
Okay, let's pray for his parents and anyone else who has COVID. I think we don't take. I think we kind of taken it lightly because we see a lot of people have COVID. Basketball players, hockey players have COVID, and then 3 days later they're scoring goals. No big deal. But there's also thousands and thousands of people who have died and not they haven't because of COVID. So let's take it seriously and pray for everyone who has it. It can be a scary thing that they have hope and it becomes cured in 3 days. We just praise the Lord. The Lord, hear our prayer, good prayer. And anybody else want to pray for somebody they know or don't know? Sarah. For everyone? Pray for everyone in this class, in this school, in this province, in this country, in this continent, in this world. Oh, yeah, have a great day. First, praise the Lord. The Lord, hear our prayer. Again, I haven't told you this though. If you like the video I showed you, it's Dynamic Catholic, and they send you a new video every day during that. It's easy to sign up for free. Some of them are good, some of them are okay. And if anyone needs to go to church, does anyone go to church with us, let me know. We could maybe get a group of kids going to church, and I'd be happy with that on a Saturday or a Sunday. And hopefully your prayer life is meaningful. And again, if you haven't done the Our Father, go home tonight or this afternoon, whenever. Pray the Our Father so it's more meaningful, and hopefully that will start a change in you like Father Brad did for me. And again, Father Troy, my church, is awesome. Okay, Xbox, again, go ahead and do this first question. Try to figure it out on your own. You should get the answer of 10 for the fourth root of 10,000. When you're done, try example 2A. Pause, pause, pause. Okay. Oh, and we're back after I gave you all that time. Let's see how it worked out. Again, this should be fun stuff. Xbox. Yay. Here we go. And what button do you need for cubic root, fourth root, anything, third root, everyone? You need the math button. Math man, math button. Okay, name the button after me. I'm very happy every time you touch this button. I get 9 cents. So please use it a lot, but especially with the roots. Now, I wouldn't use it with square root. Your square root is just second x squared, so you don't need to put a 2 in there. But let's go ahead and do the question they asked us to do. The fourth root. So fourth root, what do you press first? 4. You don't. Good job. You don't press math. So you press 4 first, and then what? Math 5. That's fourth root of, and then you just punch it in. The radicand, the number after the radical sign, and you get 10. Check. Check. Happy fun. Yay. That's rock and or roll. Now, we got the fifth root, same thing. Fifth root, press 5, math 5. You're going to get the hang of it. Some of yours looks different than this. And is it a 1024? Or am I missing a digit? Nope, 1024. And I'm going to guess the answer is 820. Oops. 4. 4 times itself, 5 times equals 1024. I do recognize that as a multiple of 2. If you go up if you double it every time, you're going to get 1024. We do that at home sometime. All right, go ahead and do B. 7th root, C and D. So we'll do example 2. Finish it off. B, C, D with your math button. D, you're gonna have a question, just try it. Try your best on D, and we'll see if we get the same answer. Who cares if we get it right? Just attempt it. Pause, pause, pause. I'm glad I said wagon wheel, because now you're craving wagon wheels, and whoever wins is gonna be, ooh, yeah, that's awesome. That almost looks like a New York Jets shirt. Go Jets. Don't ever cheer for them, they're terrible. Okay, 7th root. Press 7 math 5. You can do that. You did that. What did you get, my friend? Tell me. -3, that's it? Cool. Yeah, you start multiplying things together 7 times, you get big numbers. This one, we might as well see how we do this one on a calculator. So -3 times is what you're going to press first. And my calculator just disappeared. Did I? What? What are you doing? Is there a wire there or something? Not funny, MD.
Just to take away your calculator.
You are hacking in my lesson plans. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. But okay, let's go back to, somehow my calculator just left me. You know what? Maybe I'll go to, oh, there it is right there. Let's go with this one anyways. Maybe it's a good thing. Some of you have this calculator. Probably the majority of you. It just takes forever to load. Do 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 do. Okay, so for this one, -3. There's a negative button way down low. -3 times. You don't have to write times, but I'm going to. 4th root is 4. We just did that one. Math 5, and that's how it looks on the other calculator. 50,625. I should ask you to read that number. You guys need to be professional math students. You have to know how to read that number and not say 50625. Okay, it's 50,625. You read it by threes, starting from the end, and then press our equal sign. You make it -45. Check. So what's the 4th root of 50,625, everyone?
50.
Well done. Well done. And this one, cubic root. So you don't have to press 3 math 5 on this one. You have a cubic root button, so press math. And where's your cubic root? Is it 3 or 4? So make sure you press the right one. So cubic root of 4, so cubic root, and then 216 divided by 125, and that works just fine. 1.2. Check. Yep.
What if you did them both separately?
Perfect. Even better. So you got 6/5?
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. That's way better. If you did like that question, too bad you're so far away. Can't even print your name, David. I'm just lazy. Sorry, buddy. Where is my... For this one, for sure, you can do cubic root of 216 divided by cubic root of 125, and you probably know the bottom by now from yesterday. And now we know that 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. Probably don't know that, but at least we should have an idea. 36 times 6 is 180. That's 36. Okay, go ahead and do example 3. You might have already, so we won't spend a lot of time on example 3. As you do that, I will punch the other one on with the other calculator. 4 cubic root 216 divided by 125. If you have to do something else with this, you'd have to close the bracket, but if it's just that, your calculator will let you press equals without closing the bracket. And make sure, again, you have a nickname for your calculator. I want to say thank you, Sue. If they want to use a name like Spider-Man or Wonder Woman or any other cool. So get this as a perfect answer. This is going to be right or wrong, example 3, aka read the question. RBSing? Or no, we're not there yet. You haven't seen me sing and dance. It's coming. Next unit, it's coming. Traction on trampoline, backflips, scissor kicks, scissor back, kick flips. It's pretty fun. Okay, fifth root of 125. So here, I was looking for the other calculator. Fifth root. So 5, math 5, that's the fifth root of $1.25 on HUD. Answer is 2.6, right? 2.6. How many marks do you get for that one? Your numerical response is 0. You did everything right except for you forgot to round to nearest 100. Give me 2 decimal places. Everyone, next, 2.6, 3. Thank you. And same thing here, I'm not going to punch it in. If you got that one right, someone tell me the answer for this guy. 0.89, did you say? Everyone agree? Oh, it's tempting. I want to put decimal 9. It looks so, decimal 9 looks neater and cooler and 0er because that's nearest 10th. This says nearest 100th, so 2 decimal places. Please. All right, some quick chat on terminology. You've already heard me say index and radical. Know this. And do this in 5 seconds. Example 4. And I'm not going to say anything. Phil, I'm going to give you less than a minute to do all 3 of those questions. Get you ready for the speed game. Go, go, go. Flag and wheel. We're done crushing those questions. Go ahead and do your homework until we start cracking everything that's on page 9. Is homework. We'll move to page 10 in about 90 seconds. Okay. Quick. Fast. Give me answers. A, going down. Go, go, hurry up. Yeah, yeah, go, go. Oh, I get stuck. What's the index here? Why? Because that's what they say. Well, good job. I don't mind that answer. So make sure you read. There's an imaginary 2 here when it's square root. But the question when you have a square root is what number times itself 2 times equals 50. Okay, so that's why it's 2. This is 5 times. Radicand's 50. Index 3. Radicand. Everything under the radical sign. Okay? So you don't put a 5 there. Don't feel like that. Put a 5 there. Don't put a 5 there. Next. Homework. Do it all, do it all, do it all. For tomorrow, fun Friday fun day. And let's go to this part and talk about radicals. You can multiply radicals together, and that's all I'm going to say on this page. So radical 3 times radical 4 equals radical 12. That works. You can divide radicals. Radical 20 divided by radical 10 equals radical 2. It works just like numbers. But a radical divided by a radical is a radical. So don't put radical 20 divided by radical 10 equals 2. It equals radical 2. If you're dividing radicals, the answer is a radical. If you're multiplying radicals, the answer is a radical. You cannot add or subtract radicals. Okay, radical 10 subtract radical 5 does not equal radical 5. And radical 2 plus radical 3 does not equal radical 5. Okay, so multiplication, division works. That's what this is saying. You can multiply and divide radicals. You can't add them just by adding the radicands and subtracting the radicands. I feel like this is a half a page off of your notes. Is that right or wrong? Okay, so again, I want you to do this homework on the bottom of page 10, even though it says a different page on the smartboard. Okay, so bottom of page 10. You don't have to do all those examples, just bottom of page 10 homework. So far we've got page 9 and 10, is it? Which is confusing because page 10 and 11 I can't see. Page 9 and 10 so far. Next heading, entire radicals and mixed radicals. Okay, again, I guess I didn't have to underline it there. This is what it's saying. You're allowed to multiply. Go ahead and star this. This is important. Radical times a radical equals a radical. In fact, let's write that down. Radical times radical equals a radical. And same thing with radical divided by radical. It equals a radical. This is not bottom of page 11. I think it's the top of your page 11, right? So I don't know what's going on. An idea who's behind it that's not proven yet. Look at me. Now she can't stop smiling. Now she's covering up. You have a right to attorney. Anything you say will be used against you. All right, next. Fairly easy, guys. Again, just make sure you don't put, we're going the other way here. So radical 4 times radical 2. We break it up. However, what we're going to be doing, most important part in radicals is this step. And don't worry, we're going to be spending a lot of time on it on the next page. But so what we can do is when we break this up into a radical 4, you can square root 4. So if you use the perfect square list, you can actually turn square root of 4 into what, everyone? 2, or positive negative 2. Okay, so that's positive negative 2. If you take the principal square root, it's positive 2 because it's with something. Got it? Same thing with here. You can break this up into square root of 9 times the square root of 2. But now, if we use 9, so if we use 6 and 3 here, it'd be useless, right? Because square root of 6, square root of 3 are not on the list. But if we use square root of 9, we can turn that into the number 3. So this is just kind of teaching you before we actually teach you. This is a weird one. Anybody see anything we can do here? I would study star this one because you don't see it very often. When you see it, sometimes students leave it blank and get 0. But what can you do there? Anything? They don't divide into each other, so we're in big trouble. But there's one other thing. Oh, I think David had the hand up first.
Square root 4.
Yeah, so if there is a perfect square right on in the fraction, you can just turn it into a number. That's all you can do on that one. But you have to do something. Remember, I'm not a big fan of giving you questions and you write down not possible, can't do it, and I'm not going to give you questions like that. Homework, you'll see questions like that, but I'm not going to give you questions that you can't do. Okay, here we go. entire pure radicals. So I'm going to call them entire radicals, but some teachers might call them pure, so. And they only have radical part. Okay, so another way of saying that, if you want to write it down, I'm not going to, but you can say everything is under the radical sign. That's what an entire radical is. Everything is under the radical sign. As you can see by the red examples. If you have a mixed number, you have a number part and a radical part. So there's the number part, there's the radical part. So those are examples of mixed radicals. Now you have blanks, right? Yay. Everyone, pencil down. Pencil down. And down. Yep.
So the difference between entire radicals and mixed radicals is the same as fractions, basically.
Yeah, well said. Mixed number, improper fractions. Sounds good. If that helps you remember it. Mainly we're going to go from mixed radicals and simplify them. The rare question, I'll say, turned into a entire radical, and it's going to just be the reverse process. Don't worry about it. We'll get to it. Now we're getting to the wagon wheel. And you have a whole bunch of blanks here, which I put on your sheet before I copied them. How many blanks are the 4? There's 5 of them. Okay, so we'll do the first one together, but then you need to fill all these blanks, every single blank you see, including the ones over here. Okay, so what this is saying is this is a perfect square chart, and I just showed you kind of how important it is. We want to pick a number on this chart times another number that equals 98, so that when we have a 49, we're not going to use anything else for multiplies 98. You're going to use 49 times 2, so we can square root the 49 and make it a 7. You're going to turn it into a mixed radical. Okay, so when you have 20, you're not going to use 2 times 10, because 2 and 10 aren't in the list. You're going to use 4 times 5 to make it 2 radical 5. So this is very important. It's important to recognize some of the multiples, especially 48 and 32, because you have to use the biggest perfect square. So when you have a 48 and 32, you're not going to use 4. You're going to use, right? What number on the list? 48 and 32. Even bigger. Come on. You guys get your pencils down, you little cheaters. This is a fair wagon wheel. We're going to do it fairly. Okay. Yes, I'll assume that all of you are thinking 16 times 2, 16 times 3, 32 and 48. So that's why we're doing this little fun wagon wheel race, is to get used to the multiples. I want you to fill in all the multiples, including these ones. First one who's done, just come to my desk and show it to me, and I'll tell you if they're not right, I'll say good try, and you go back and try to fix your mistake, okay? That's it? Oh, hold on, I didn't do the first part for you. So the first multiple of 4 is 4, and then you go up by 4s. 8, 12, 16, 20. Go! Go, 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 go. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Pause the podcast. Good luck, friends. You can get it, but for these x's and x squares, if you didn't get it, don't say anything to us, please. I can't remember how many blanks I had. Okay, so the multiple, so it starts with the number, so 4, start with the x squared. If you didn't get it, or I didn't check, what's after x? More people put something wrong. Yeah, Davey, you got these right. You got yeah, you got the hard ones right. So it's actually 2x. How do you get this number? 4 plus 4? Well, this one's x plus x. This one's x plus x plus x. Okay, so it's not x squared. You're not multiplying them. So if you didn't get that, go ahead and fill these in 10 seconds. 20 seconds. And then you get those right. And that's kind of fun. Is it everything? Yeah? Yum, yum. And so what's after x squared? Good job. 2x squared. X squared, 1x squared plus 1x squared is 2x squared. Hey, fun stuff. Welcome back. We got a math contest. Good for you. All right. And we are kind of already touched on this. When we're simplifying mixed radical or an entire radical to a mixed radical, we need to use the perfect square chart. So I'm going to write down the chart on the next page. If you want to, it's a good idea when you first start to just write down these numbers real quick. Make a quick chart, takes 10 seconds, and then you need one of these numbers in red times another number that equals 75. Not any numbers, not 5 times 15. You need to use the number on this chart times another number that equals 75. So you can square root to 25, you get 5. Square root 121, you get 11. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're using the charts, perfect square chart. You can see the steps right here. It says find the biggest perfect square. Well, all these are called perfect squares. When you have a number multiplied by itself, the product is a perfect square. You need the biggest perfect square. You're not going to use 4 times 12 for 48. You're going to use 16 times 3. Because if you use 4 times 12, then you can break up 12 to 4 times 3. And you're not going to do that all the time. And most people don't. They'll leave it as 2 radical 12 and they'll lose half their marks. So let's get knowing that 32 and 48, those are the biggest ones. Those 16 multiples, those ones are going to cost you marks if you don't know them, because you're going to go to 4 when you should be going to 16. So you see the next note says choose the biggest perfect square, not just any perfect square. Next. All right, is this so much fun? Love this stuff. Let's go. So, radical 50, don't care about 5 times 10. Probably the first numbers you think of when you hear what times what equals 50. First of all, a radical times a radical equals a radical, so you break it up into 2 radicals. Your perfect square goes here. Everyone write that down. You always start with your perfect square. If you're a professional math student, that's the radical that's going to turn into a number, and your numbers go before radicals when you write them. So, as I promised, I'm going to write my list here. You go ahead and write your list, 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8. Good enough. And a number on that list times another number that equals 50. What is it? 25 times 2. Why do we use 25? Because now this perfect square turns into a number. What's the square root of 25 before you met me? 5. So this is the same thing. If you punch in fact, go ahead. Punch in square root of 50 on your calculator. 7 decimal, blah, blah. And punch in 5 radical 2 in your calculator and get the exact same thing. You want to do that? Is it the exact same thing? Yup, yup. Thumbs up, thank you. Okay, so it's the exact same thing. This is called simplify. Okay, I'm going to ask you to simplify this. This is what you do. Yes, David.
So if we use...
Sorry, David, you've had some great questions. I'm going to put your name on bar on the board. I know that's not why you're asking. You're just a curious lad.
So if we use 25 and 2,
Yep.
and 1 is also a perfect square technically, then why
Yep.
wouldn't we use 49?
Not because they're multiplying, not adding. No. I hear what you're saying. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, 45. go ahead and, well, I'm supposed to do it together, but you know, I'm gonna kinda go slow enough where you kinda do it before I, 45. Those are the first two numbers you think of, bam, put them in there. Perfect square first, and then simplify the perfect square into a number. I like to underline the perfect square and turn it into a number. Don't put square root of 25 equals the square root of 5. That is wrong. Square root of 5 means what number times itself 2 times equals 25. So what's perfect square you guys found? 9, good job. And then don't leave it. You have a second step to do. You have to tell me what the square root of 9 equals. $320, I have no idea. I think of 32 times 10, that doesn't help me at all. So here's the hint for big numbers. And I'm going to write it on the top. Have a bit more room here? Yep. Okay, so for C, or any big number, is to divide by 2 or 3, and usually a perfect square will just come out at you. If not, divide by 4, 5, 6. So go ahead and divide that by 2. It should work. It almost looks like it works. It looks like 160, 16-ish. Kind of looks like it works, but just 12 times 12 is 144. 13 times 13 is 169. 160 isn't a perfect square. And if you wonder if it's perfect square, if you square root it, it will be a number, a whole number. So that doesn't really help when we divide by 2. Problem was I have three rows of icons open. I've never had that many, or rarely, so that's why I lost my calculator. I'm just getting old. So 320 divided by 2, where he says 160, 320 divided by 3, does that work? No. 320 divided by 4. Maybe 320 is already. So maybe, if I don't know if 320 is a perfect square, well, you probably don't know 169 is either, and it is. So check it out. Maybe it's perfect square right away. Maybe it turns into 17. Nope, it doesn't. Lucky guess. So now what? Most of the time you divide by 2 or 3, it works. This time you have to divide by, what's that? 20, even less, I think. We have to divide by even less. So you're just dividing by 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the perfect squares will pop up when you have a big number. You don't have to go to the perfect square chart. The perfect square chart will come to you when you divide. Usually it's 2 or 3. This one, if you divide by 5, what do you get? 64. So this one you had to work for a little for, but when you divide by 5, you certainly recognize that square root of 64 is a perfect square, right? So that should not take you long. Just divide by 2, divide by 3, divide by 4, divide by 5, and bam, and then you turn that into frosty radical 5. So let's just do these 3, make sure you're on the right track. This is the most important skill in radicals. You cannot add, subtract, multiply, or divide radicals unless you know how to do this. Okay, so choose a perfect square on my green list here, times another number, that equals 8, that equals 200, that equals 128. Big number, divide by 2 or 3, it'll pop out it. I did.
I got for C 16 and 20. Do you always want the highest?
Yes, yeah, because then you can break up 20 into 4 times 5, right? So if you don't take the biggest perfect square, you're going to lose half the marks, or you're going to have to do twice the amount of work. But honestly, when someone leaves a radical 20, usually they leave it, and they don't simplify it again. But a good question, and if you ever have a radical 8 or a radical 12 in your answer, it's not simplified completely. You can take the biggest one. So that's something that you can catch. If you have a radical 8 or a radical 20 or a radical 12, sorry, you just need to simplify it further or do the first step over and take a bigger perfect square. That's pretty cool. Art help Saturday mornings at 5. If you want to get serious about your art, let me know. You doing these right now? And we're gonna correct in 1 minuto. You should end up with a number part and a radical part. What's that called again? And a radical? Mixed radical. All right, one more minute. I can see some of you are done all of them, so I'm going too slow. Radical 8 is the easiest one I can give you. Square root of 4 is 2, radical 2. Check. Thumb, yup, get that one right. And I just can't help tell you what's coming next is we're going to have a number out in front. We're just going to leave that number out in front and then multiply those two numbers at the end to get 6 radical 2. Why would I show that to you before we even did like 5 questions on this one? Anyways, we have a number out in front. We'll probably do it today. You just leave it out in front and multiply at the end. Radical 200. 4 times 50. That's not big enough. What is it? Oh, 25 times 8. That's not big enough. What is it? Okay, you can actually kind of see this as a big number, so that's 100 times 2, and that's another reason why I got you to do those multiples. When you wrote 100, 200, 300, you can see that anytime you have a 0, 0, you got a big perfect square. That is at least 100 large. Where's my green? Green, buck 28. No one knows this. Yes, you do. What is it? 64 times 2. All you have to do is divide by 2 or 3, and usually you'll get a perfect square. But if you divide by 2 and you get 169, and you don't know if that's a perfect square, don't assume it isn't, because that's 13 times 13. Square root 169. So you don't, so you get all your marks. Okay, do the next 3. A little more challenging. A little bit. Pause. Okay, podcast people, you need a handout. I just handed out. So when you come back to class, go ahead and do that. 27. Or maybe you can even find this online. I'm not sure about Power 10. It's a textbook from a while ago. But I like it. 27. What's the perfect square, everyone? Okay. So perfect square is 9. Let's get used to that terminology. So 3 radical 3. Star E, just because you want to know that 48 is this times this. Every time you see 48, it's going to be a few times. Anybody? Everyone? 16 times 3. That turns into 4 radical 3. Now sometimes I've seen this, not double square root. I don't know what's going on right there. But sometimes I see this. I see a 4, I'll square root the 4. And that's wrong. You can't, just because you see a 4, you can't square root it. You can only square root a 4 if it's the square root of 4. So sometimes I'll put 25 and 16 and 4 out in front. You don't ever square root it. You can only square root 4 if it's the square root of 4. Okay? So leave it. And we haven't seen this one yet. What's the perfect square, everyone? 25. Are we done? Leave it like that? No, you'll lose half your marks. Finish it off and turn it into a radical. And you got homework on page 19. That's probably the first page you see, 1 to 15. And the first thing we're going to do is page 19. Yeah, 1 to 15. But before we do that, we're going to go the groupie work. You know what? I'll give you 5 minutes to do that. You'll probably get most of it done. 5 minutes. That's easy. It's less than your homework. You got 7 minutes. Yep.
Question about the mixed radicals.
Check. Pause. Okay, so let's do some group work, but we've seen most of these already, so if you're a good guy, do this one. If you're a bad guy, do this one. And give yourself a name. Thanos. Or, I think even Catwoman. Jesus, that's a bad guy. Iron Man, you'll be happy to know, we're thrilled at our house to know that Iron Man is the March superhero of Night Calendar. We started Iron Man for about 10 minutes each. I love Iron Man. He's number one. I'm gonna be a good guy. Do one or the other. Ones we haven't seen yet. Use the hint, and you have no problem at all. I'm going to correct it in 1 minute. Don't forget the second step. Pretty sure no one's doing that. First, the number on the list times another number. Second, turn the perfect square into a number. Square root of 49 equals 7. So there. Mixed number, grand finale. Put equal signs, or you lose more than 100%. Doesn't make sense without equal signs. All right, that's it. Good guys, what'd you get for the perfect square? For the perfect square? So don't say 12. What's the perfect square? 144 is called a perfect square. 12 times itself. So that equals 12 radical 2. And bad guys, this one might be even harder. What'd you get for the perfect square? 121. So just divide by 2 on these ones and you'll be a happy pappy or a happy gal. Good? Good. Let's do 3 more questions. You find on page 13 where it says try. So go ahead and do those try questions on page 13. Example 3. Little more challenging questions. Good. Hey, pause. Sorry, podcast people, we left you over a conversation. We were talking very importantly about AC/DC and Iron Man. And Halloween. And Michael Jordan wearing number 45. Who knew? Kane did. All right, let's rock and roll with wearing black. You have a number out in front, leave it out in front. I give you a quick hint on that. How do we do 192? Divide by 2 or 3. Usually, talk to me, Tess. 64 times 3. Good. Square root of 64, Hudson. Good. And then number at the end. I'm teaching you before I teach you. What's 2 times 8? 16. Okay, so, 16. Square root of 16? No. Good shaking your head. No. 16 is just 16. 16 does not equal 4. So, good job. Great job. Let's break up radical 160. A little out. Thank you, Ted. Even bigger. Good try. Because now we look at the radical you have left over, and you can divide that by 4 again. So even bigger. Daryl. 16 times 10. Good. So that turns into what, Daryl? 8 or 4? 4. And then, I don't know if you remember about fractions. You reduce. I reduced before. You can multiply first and then reduce. I like to reduce first. So the 4's cancel. You might get 3 radical 10. 3 radical 10. Good. Thumbs. But you guys, start using the other thumb. Like, you don't want to be a right-handed thumbs up guy all the time. You want to use the left. Come on. Give some variety. You don't have a big giant thumb. Like you probably have one giant thumb from cell phones, right? Or because you just have like one giant hand. Let me see your clubs, you guys. Oh yeah, that's not good. Start using the other hand for texting. Come on, give yourself a challenge. Give you like a party trick. Okay, I can do this full time. This is my challenge. I can't get you out of your phones. But more importantly, I'm talking about sports. Use your left hand when you play basketball. Always. Best thing I did was I cracked my elbow in grade 9, and I had to use my left hand the whole year. It really improved my basketball game. Okay, what? What? Tell me what? Oh, die. Empty this time.
Square root of 9.
Yeah. What's the square root of 9? That's all you can do. So when you get confused, look for the simple. We did one like that when they don't divide into each other. All you can do is tell me the square root of 9 equals 3. Alright, you got 4 more minutes. Work on a couple more homework questions. You got about 20 of them. You have pages 9 and 10 for homework and page 13 for homework. Now that's not Sunday. Ha ha ha.